Instead, Jacob's family wants to worship their own way. And they're feeling pretty hollow. Here's the best part. Look what would happen if Israel stepped up to the fullness of their relationship with God. In verse 8, let's look at verse 8. If you do these things, God promises, your salvation will come like the dawn. Your healing will come quickly. Your godliness will lead you forward, and the glory of the Lord will protect you from behind. When you call, the Lord will answer and say, here I am. Wow, what a relationship that would be with God. How exciting that would be. He says you're going to see things in a whole new light. You can step out in faith, and when you do, I've got your back. Just like I promised all along, I'm going to be with you. And then just so there's no mistake, God repeats himself in the beginning of verse 9. He says, if you will remove the yoke of oppression from your midst, if you will stop accusing and spreading vicious rumors, if you will spend yourself, I really like that, spend yourself on behalf of the hungry and help those who are in trouble, then your darkness will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always, watering your life when you are dry and keeping you healthy. In fact, you will be like a well-watered garden, like an ever-flowing spring. Your children will rebuild the ruins of your cities, and I will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. Now we get to verses 13 and 14, and this is the set of verses that Adventists really like to quote. But this has a whole new meaning. Isaiah is written in poetic form. And in Hebrew poetry, they tended to state things in threes. They would state something, and then they would restate it again, and then they would restate it the third time. So really, this is the third statement of what God is asking Israel to do. So then it's not just about Sabbath keeping, it's really about worship. Now I've written kind of my own translation, but follow along. If you will worship, God says, my way. If you will bless others, if you will honor me in everything you do, instead of making worship about yourself, then our relationship, and especially that one-on-one time that we have on the Sabbath day, will be so joyous. And you will be receiving your full share of Jacob's inheritance. In 1893, author Henry Van Dyke imagined the story of a wise man. Now, typically, we trot this story out at Christmas time. But if you really read this story, it's not about Christmas, it's about commitment. And I'm not nearly as eloquent as Van Dyke is, so I would urge you to read this for yourself. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version. There was another wise man named Artaban, who studied the stars and was so convinced of the coming king that he sold all he owned to purchase 3 jewels to present to the baby king. He watched for the star, and when it appeared, he hurried to join his fellow wise men in their quest for this most important of all children. But he misses the caravan because he stops to help a deathly old man. Using his healing skills, he restores the old Hebrew man, and as he is leaving, the man directs him to go to Bethlehem instead of Jerusalem to find the child. But the caravan's already left, and Artaban knows he'll never make it across the desert without the support of a caravan, so he turns back and spends one of his jewels to gather his own caravan for the journey across the desert. He arrives in Bethlehem 3 days after his fellow wise men and the couple from Nazareth have mysteriously fled to Egypt. A young mother with a baby boy offers Artaban refuge for the night. But as she tells a strange tale of the goings-on in their little town, mother's cries of anguish are heard throughout the night. Soldiers rush from house to house. Artaban has only a moment to decide. But without hesitation, he offers his second jewel to the Roman captain who comes to the door. It's a bribe to move on without searching this house. His heart aches. He has missed the Christ child, and now he has spent one of his kingly gifts to save humanity. Artaban journeys on to Egypt, hoping to find the child. He only finds a Hebrew rabbi in an obscure house in Alexandria. But this rabbi advises the king will not be found among the palaces. Those who seek him will do well to look among the poor, the lowly, the sick, the sorrowful, and the oppressed, for his is a new kingdom, a kingdom of love. Year after year, Artaban travels from place to place, seeking the Christ among the poor, the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the oppressed. He finds none to worship, but plenty who need his help. 33 years of Artaban's life pass. He is a very old man, but still a pilgrim. At the season of the Passover, he goes to Jerusalem, and there he hears that the King of the Jews is about to be crucified. This is the king he's been seeking. He has one jewel left, a pearl. Maybe he can ransom the king. As he follows the crowd to Calvary, he is confronted with a young girl from his native country who is about to be sold into slavery. Again, he's faced with a decision. Should he save his gift for the king or use it to lift up humanity? He is so close to seeing the king that he's spent his whole life pursuing. But his heart can't turn away from the young one who needs his compassion in front of him. And as he hands over his last treasure, a great earthquake shakes the ground, swaying houses and loosening rooftops. A mortal blow fells the old man, but what does it matter? His quest is ended, and he has no gift for his king. Even as he breathes his last breath, he knows, though, that were he to live his life over, he'd follow that same path. The old man's lips move, but no one hears. And then a voice is heard.